All right, hello everyone. Today I'm going to just run through some techniques I use. It's not going to be purely about yoga today. I've been suffering from FAL or femoroacetabular impingement. Particularly I've been doing heavy squats, and as some of you know, I'm training for a powerlifting competition, so it's been a hindrance. So I've tried lots of stuff, and I came up with a number of different techniques that have helped me, right? And so consequently, I'm not suffering from that injury anymore. And so I'm just going to run through the system that I used to fix this particular problem with my hip. And hopefully it will help you too. So it involves a number of different techniques, and the first of these is just a soft tissue release. Four main areas, right, that we're going to address as far as soft tissue release. And the first of these that I'm going to look at is the iliopsoas group. So just in here, so I'm just going to take a broomstick and give myself a good rub, and I can move this around. And if you find anywhere that's a bit grungy, then move into that. We can also move a little bit into the abductor group, which is along the inside of the leg, and also the lateral group too, and the other one is the gluteus. So we're going to address all of these. So just giving yourself a nice big massage into them. And I'm just going to do one side because mine was mainly on my right. I did have a little bit on the left, but mainly on the right. So I don't know, just spend a little bit of time working into that. And if you find a grungy spot, obviously work into that a little bit more. And then, from here, we're going to work into the abductor group, and I've got a hard ball here. I think it's a lacrosse ball. Anyway, I've got a hard ball here. You can use a lacrosse ball, or you can use a cricket ball, or you can use a foam roller. But anyway, I've decided to use this, and just taking it up into the abductor group here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll go around the other side. That's probably a bit better, yeah. And then just placing it in here like this and rolling it up and down onto the abductor group here. Just like that. A few rounds of that, and you can move it backwards and forwards. If you find a grungy spot, then just work into that. And then taking the ball and just sitting on it. Once again, if you find a foam roller is better, then you can use a foam roller. And so I'm just working all around into the gluteal group. Just giving it a nice big move there. I just found a real sticky spot there. And letting that go. Alright, so the lateral group, I've used this foam roller. All of these things are, as you can see, they're pretty inexpensive pieces of equipment. I've got a foam roller, which is probably the dearest, a lacrosse ball and a broomstick. So you don't need fancy equipment to do this. So then all I'm going to do here is come down onto this and then just take it across here. Now, I'm not really trying to stretch the iliotibial band. This is a fairly ineffective method for that. We're just getting into the lateral group here. Just bending into that. Okay. Now there are other muscles, right? The hips, the hamstrings, of course. I'll just show you. Right, we could do the abductors this way, if you prefer. This is good as well. Just running it this way. And we can do the rotator, the lateral rotator group as well, by just rolling into that. Which is what the broomstick did at the beginning. So you might not be able to see that too well, but I'll just move it around a little bit and want it sideways. as well, this way. So you might prefer the fold there to the broomstick. Just soft tissue release, getting rid of some knots or anything that's going on there. So that's the first technique. Now you can do it really for as long as you like, but probably about 5 or 6 minutes would be enough, right, to do that. So that's the first area that I found worked for me. The next area that we're going to look at is doing some yoga. Yoga, of course, for range of motion into this particular area. So we'll do that. So we're going to start with Surya Namaskar B, just to get some full range through the whole body. And so this is a fabulous thing to do for anything. Honestly, this will work to warm you up, to do yoga practice, whatever. So just to come into that and to reiterate, you've probably seen it done 100 times before with other teachers and myself too. So taking the hands up, squatting down into a chair posture, and then from here we're going to fold forward into a forward fold. And then we'll just move up the dip, and then we're going to come into a half forward fold, into a plank posture, into a low plank posture, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Taking the right leg high, squeezing it in, and bringing it forward. Other leg drops down to 45-degree angle. This is warrior one. Brilliant for the hip, this one. And then fold forward, coming down, upward facing dog, downward facing. Left hand side. Once again, now really feeling that in the hip on both sides here, warrior one. Moving forward. Coming up. Coming down. Taking a few breaths here. Jumping, stepping forward into a forward fold. Half forward fold. Chair and back up. Alright, might have lost a bit of that. Okay, so that's just a little bit just to get the body moving for range of motion. And the couple of postures that I want to really explore with this for the hip is firstly warrior one. So warrior one is a very much a hip mobility movement. So we squeeze the hip forward, stretch the hands up, drop into it. From here we can come into a warrior two. Now we're turning the hip. As you can see, the hips are now being turned around, getting that mobility into the hip. Warrior two. Just squeezing up through the front leg, turning that around, turning around to the other side, coming into a warrior. And you can see how I push my hip around, drive through the back leg, drop into warrior two. Great big range of movement in the hip there. And then a warrior two. Once again, now the hips being moved in the opposite direction. Warrior two. And then coming up to a standing, letting the hands go. Bring the feet around so that the toes are facing toward each other. And then from here, we're going to just sink down, stick the butt out, keep the knees long, coming down as far as you can, either grabbing the feet, or if you can't, then just coming down with the hands on the ground. If you can reach the feet, then pull the feet. But it's not the depth that's important, it's the stretch into the back, into the hamstrings. Now hamstrings, obviously, abduct, have a huge, profound effect on the hips, so we want to stretch into the hamstrings. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then from here coming up, stretching through the spine, and take the feet around. So now we're going to come into what's called a goddess pose. Now, we're going to take it a little bit differently. We're going to just push the knees out to get into this hips. Push the knees out. Take the hands down onto the shins and really push those knees out. Lift the chest forward. Drop the hip down. Really feeling that into the inner thigh now. Breathing here. Good. And then from here, we're almost there. We're just going to drop down into an Asian squat or malasana. Once again, take the elbows and push the knees out. Now we're going to just move the hip here. Just dynamically push one knee forward and then the other knee. Swinging through that hip joint, getting nice movement here. Lifting the chest up as best we can. Really getting that nice juicy work into the hip. Once we've done that, swing around and coming into a lunge. So working into the iliopsoas group, coming into a lunge, dropping down into the lunge. Taking a few breaths here. Now normally we come into bring the hands up when we're doing crescent lunge. This time I'm just really interested in the actual lunge into the hip flexor. And then from here taking the left hand down, the right hand stays on the right knee, push that knee out, lift the chest forward and twist. This is going to open up the hip on the right side and stretch out the psoas muscle on the left, twisting through because it starts at the spine and comes across. So this is really good for just stretching out that muscle. Good from there, let go of that. And then taking the other side, those two postures on the other side. The lunge first, dropping into the lunge. In this instance, I'm not too interested where you put your hands. You can have them here, lift the chest up, push into it, drop down deeper. And then we're going to take the right hand down. The left hand pushes the knee, lift and twist. Coming up out of that, and we're already halfway there, so we're just going to drop that left leg down and cross over. Take the right leg back. See if we can get the butt down as close as we can. Take the hands out and just feeling that stretch down the side of the leg and into the glutes. And then you can come down as far as you like. Pigeon posture. Coming out of pigeon, and we're going to take the other side. So just taking the other side of pigeon. Come on. And drop down into it. Slip up of that, leave the leg where it is and cross the other leg underneath. So if you can see, I hope. And then what we're going to do now is we're just going to drop the butt down in between the legs. So coming down into what's called shoelace. Try and move this foot out of the way and come down as deep as you can. Lift the chest up. And if you need to support the butt, you can. Shoelace posture. Real grungy feeling into the hip here. Coming out of that, just swapping the sides over. Once again, sitting down into it. And then from here we're going to come up out of that, take the knees out as wide as they will go. Nice and wide with the knees. This is called frog posture. So you can see what I'm doing here, just spreading the knees as much as I can. Right, then what I've got there, then I'm just going to push back into the posture. Come out of that. Now there's so many hip movements into the from yoga, but that gives you a nice taster, and it really works for what we're trying to achieve here. So the next area that that we're going to look at is the joint, distraction of the joint, and now nice and loose, and we've got some movement in the soft tissue. We're going to use a band. So I've got a fairly thick band here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it around my hip, as you can see, and then I'm going to step out with it and push the hip forward. Let it push me back in all directions. Pull, pull, pull. You can do this kneeling down as well, right? And so this way, as long as you're getting it, pulling the hip back into its correct position. And sideways too. So now we do this movement. So just distracting the hip joint. Good. Next area we're going to look at is we're going to do a little bit of strength work. And the first thing that I would recommend is a kettlebell swing. Right, so the kettlebell swing is a fabulous exercise for strengthening this area. So, taking a kettlebell and then swing. Set of them, maybe do 3 sets or so. The next strengthening exercise that I'd like to show you is called a Californian plank. Right, now, the Californian plank is done like this. So we take the leg, I'll just show one side, across a bench in this manner, and then drop the hip and squeeze it up. Good. Bulgarian split squat. The basic Bulgarian split squat is going to give you a deep stretch as well as work the quadricep. So it's an ideal choice for this particular impingement. So there, bang, beautiful. Can feel that lovely through stretching on the right hand side and strengthening up the left. So I don't know, do 10 or so of each of these. Good. And the last one is a glute medius exercise. So we're going to do glute medius and clamshell. Right, I'm sure you've seen this before many times. So taking a band, coming down onto the ground, take the band up over your legs, and then bringing it over the knees like this. And then basically it's just a question of lifting the top leg up, squeeze at the top, squeeze at the top, squeeze. I say, I'm generally just showing one side of these apart from the yoga, because you can do both sides of course, but if you're just working into the FEL on one side, that's fine just to do the one side. I mean, I recommend that you do both, but this, for demonstration purposes, this will do. Alright, that's about it guys, and look, I can't guarantee anything, but it certainly worked for me, and I hope it does for you. If you have any questions about yoga or strength training, then feel free to give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you and namaste.